Thank you.
Thank you, Rodrigo. It's a pleasure to be with you virtually today, guys. My name is Ishraq, and a solution architect and a three-time Sitecore MVP. And let me put you in the context of why this topic, why omnichannel in retail. Um, so basically, for the past 6 years, I've been managing different teams and working with different clients and agencies. And for the most part, most of our focus is on the technical aspect of the business, right? So we know how Sitecore work. We know the technical details of how architecting um, Sitecore solutions. But when it comes to marketing and the user experience, and in the back of our head, for the most but we think this is a job that's not for us, it's for marketing people. um, However, most often we find ourselves in a position where we try to accommodate both parts. So you might have some certain like requirements from your marketing team with specific journeys when they use different lingos that's not a daily kind of words that we deal with on a daily basis, and you want to communicate that to your team. And on the other hand, we know Sitecore well, we know sometimes, and we know the websites that we build, right? So sometimes you want to go to your marketing team and tell them, look, if you want to achieve this goal and do this and that, you have to go this route. And the thing you're trying to propose that won't work in our case. So I've started actually earlier this year talking to different people from Sitecore, and through different talks I'm having through SUG-BR and hopefully in Symposium, is to try focus on this area that's in between, that's between the tech and between the marketing, and try um, to give and share as much as knowledge as we can. Um, so the next time we talk about these terminologies and these concepts, this is not something new. This is not something we're gonna go to Google and look it up. So, okay. All right. So the first thing that comes to mind when we talk about retail actually is Amazon, right? So the first thing that comes is an example of a retail website is Amazon. However, Amazon is just representing one dimension of retail or of the industry. Actually, it's e-tailing, and despite that, it actually comprises more than 75% of the retail market in the US in 2017. Actually, like studies and researches are showing that more than 50% of omnichannel customers, and when we say omnichannel, think about every channel that comes to mind, whether it's through the website, through the mobile app, it's through the tablet or the store. So more than 50% of customers are actually still coming from brick and mortar. So the internet did not take over brick and mortar. It's still relevant to more than 55% of millennial shoppers actually in 2018. So it's really important when we start to think about creating websites, and it's regardless whether it's a Sitecore or not, to think about all the different points of interaction with your website. You need to make sure that if you have a physical store, how you make sure this experience is relevant and consistent to your customers when they go to your website and vice versa. All right. Another thing I wanted to talk about, actually the experience that we're getting from Amazon. So basically, when you think about it, it's an indifferent, what do we say? It's not indifferent. So it's actually the same experience you're getting if you're buying a battery or a dress, right? So you go to Amazon, you're gonna uh, search for the product you want, you're gonna read the reviews, check the different prices, and then click um, the buy button. So that's one dimensional kind of experience, which leaves the arena for more and more omnichannel retailers actually to compete, uh, especially those who have both online and offline um, channels, and they can create actually a value for their customers in the domain of customer experience. So since the release of Commerce 9 back in October last year, I know that we've seen many of our clients are actually moving to Sitecore 9. And earlier this year, we had this case of a nutrition shop that they have this really nice um, shops. They've done like really good efforts categorizing the different nutritional products and data plans. And if you go and ask anyone of the staffs about any information you have, they give you this information on spot. So on the other hand, they have this irrelevant website, and they wanted to do a revamp of their online website on top of Sitecore and to use Sitecore Commerce 9. And we all know, like, I think it's fair to say that by now, to create a responsive website and to come with a nice imagery and make it match the actual website, that's something that's pretty much common and straightforward for us nowadays. However, when you look at some aspects of the business, like when you want your customers now to move from the shop and tell them, I have a new website, I want to direct the traffic to be both ways. Now, since I have a better online presence, there's a disconnect. And if you look at the different implementations that's been done since the beginning of this year, there's many different approaches and way to do that, right? One common thing is to go with a clean instance of Sitecore 9. You would go ahead and do the upgrade. You will install the commerce engine. You're gonna install the SXA storefront, move things around, move the home into the storefront, and actually import your catalog, your commerce catalog, and then um, everything is done, right? So without discussing the pros and cons of having that actually as your way to go, there's other challenges to retail that's beyond the technical aspects of these websites. So and the main challenge that retailer faces, and this is actually agnostic to the technology that's being used, is, as I mentioned, is the disconnect between the online and offline. We have the universal issue of shopping cart abandonment. How like more than 65% of customers actually just close the browser while their products are in the shopping cart, and basically the how you're gonna connect your existing third-party systems such as ARB and CRM with your commerce solution. So for the sake of this session, there's different ways of approaching these challenges. And again, it's not specifically related to Sitecore, but I like mainly the customer maturity model that they use. I've been using it for a while. So if you're interested about such topic, I would recommend reading the book Connect. That gives you more and more ideas and strategies how you measure actually the maturity of your customer and walk them through different stages and steps in order to create a customer base and gain loyalty to them. So for the sake of this of this session, I'm going to talk mainly about the disconnect that we have between online and offline, and the main strategy of actually discovering who your audience are. And based on that, you start to build the different tactics to provide them with the relevant experience, whether it's in shop or on in a store. And you can do that through personalization. And the other thing, especially in the case of shopping cart abandonment, how you make sure every touch point of the customer with your business is actually shoppable. How you make sure that you're always going to bring them back to your store in order to convert them and make them do the actual purchase. All right, so let me take a step back and look at the entire customer experience and then go from there. So basically, the customer lifecycle starts by acquisition. And what we mean by that is the different strategies and tactics that businesses do in order to increase the awareness of their brands, to attract customers to engage with their so actually in this case they're not called customers, they're called prospects. So how you are potential prospects to convert them into actual customers. After that, you don't want this to be hit and run process, right? You want them to come back to your website and continuously buy products from there. So how you are going to develop their accounts across the different life cycle. Also, one of the most important steps that most of brands actually tend to overlook is after that. So after a while of creating these customers and make sure that they're turned into loyal ones for you, what are the different techniques that you are going to show them that you actually and you care, and you are going to give them a value of being loyal to your brand. And finally, there's some sort of customers who are more into seasonal ones. So they might be typically interacting with your website if there's like offers it during Christmas, or it's Easter, or based on seasons, winter, spring, and they typically drift away based on their preferences. So you want to continuously win them back by understanding their behavior during their interaction with your website and providing them with the different activities to always win them back and get them back to your site. All right, so again, there's a whole lot of spectrum in terms of personalization tactics when it comes to the commerce context. For the sake of for this time, I'm going to focus mainly on three things: segmentation, the customer profile, and conditional recommendation. So segmentation is basically it's categorizing your customers or grouping them based on characteristics or interactions or at which life stage of the customer life cycle they are in. And I'm interested mainly in two things. Number one is by audience. So are these unknown customers for you? This is their first time visiting your website, so you have no idea who they are, or if they are known customers, they look into your website and you know exactly who they are. So if these are unknown customers, you always need to keep in mind that I don't at this stage know anything about them. So I shouldn't be showing them like specific products promotion because you still don't know their intent. You don't know what their preference is, what they are looking for in your website. So you don't want to start lose this trust as the early interaction with your brand. And the other one is the brand interaction. And this one is really nice because it actually makes sense and it ties directly to the customer life cycle. So we have the activities and things you're going to do and implement before the purchase, before they actually go and hit the buy button. And there's during that, while they're filling their shopping cart and they're intending to go and going through the checkout process. And again, this is the most overlooked. But after they leave your website, they've done the purchase, they're happy with that, the different things that you need to do in order to continuously giving them the experience that they are expecting. All right. So now I'm going to show this based on the audience. So basically, I'm going to show different scenarios of how to do that for unknown customers and then move to non-customers. So for the unknown customers, as I mentioned, you still know nothing about them. The quick wins that you need to employ in order to make sure that you are giving them a proper and relevant experience to them is to look at their intent. How do they actually reach to your website, and what are the different activities they are doing through that? And basically, there is two things that you can utilize. So the number one, if they are coming from a campaign that you've already created. So at the beginning of the launch of the website, they wanted to generate some sort of traffic and measure that by giving those who are coming and buy in store, when we print their receipt, there's a link of a page that's called in store. Once they reach to that, that's gonna trigger a campaign. So we identify that those are the customers that we had in store. So that's one way of measuring their intent because you know they're coming, they already did the purchase and they're coming from the site, but maybe from your actual shop. Maybe by now they didn't log in, but that's fine. You still have some sort of information about them. And the other thing is their implicit browsing behavior, what they're actually doing on the website. Are they just browsing products? Are they doing a comparison of different categories? Are they reading the articles or whatever complementary information you are giving them? So that's a good start to look at for those who still have no idea about it. So basically, in order to do that, and if you're not familiar with it, so you go to the Sitecore dashboard. There's a button that's called, there's a module called a campaign creator. So when you click on that, you start to define all the necessary assets and stuff that you need to put in a place before you kick off your campaign. And the first one is the different channels that you are using. In our case, you're gonna define the different online and offline channel that you want to measure actually and utilize for your campaign. Then you want to create the campaign itself. Typically, it has a time frame, so you have a beginning and end. And you need to identify your own intent, the reason behind creating this campaign. So now you know that you're tying this campaign to a landing page that you know this is for people coming from the in-store. But what do you want from that? Do you only want to collect information about these customers, or you want their experience to be transcendent from the shop into your website by providing them with discounts? In addition, which areas are you focusing? If those maybe you had some sort of discount for like a gluten-free products in your store, you want to make sure that this same campaign is running on your website. The other thing, and I like this one a lot, is when you create your personas. So persona, it's like characteristics that help you or help like marketing people to know to whom they are doing these activities. And a nice thing about it is that once you identify uh, different customers and do they belong to this certain persona, you have different ways of utilizing that later on. You can uh, assign them with engagement value, so that starts to accumulate over time, and you go to the experience analytics and start to gain more information about these different customers that coming to your website. One thing is um, their propensity to buy, and we mean by that during their behavior on the website. Are they most probably is going to be clicking the buy button, or they're just roaming around? And the nice concept is the hot, medium, and cold personas. And by that, if this is a hot customer, if you identify this as a hot customer, then there's a highly likely they're gonna click the buy button. So you start to target them with the product-related CTAs and promotions. You start to give them the information they need directly based on the product they're looking at. So that's some sort of an easy task for you. But if those are just they're in between, they're looking into related products, they're reading the articles that you're having, let's say for gluten-free uh, products, then the activities you're going to provide them is going to be more into, all right, how about I'm going to give them a CTA for a daily routine, like breakfast for a diet, if they're interested in this kind of product or that, because they're reading information. You start to target them sometimes with complementary products and related ones that eventually might turn them to actually even buy that if you already have it as a digital format that you can sell. And for those that most likely they're not gonna do anything with it, with the product, they're just there's no button for the kind of products that they are looking at. You still don't want to lose them. You still want to gain their trust. So again, your focus is not to bombard them with irrelevant uh, like promotions or specific products that we know for sure that they might not be interested with because they actually didn't even click that. So you need to be aware about the kind of recommendations you are going the customers during their interaction with the website. And there's two concepts actually related to this, and this is what we call upsell and cross-sell. Yeah, so this is the where you define the profiles and personas in the campaign creator. So Upselling concept is tied to if you are interested like in promoting a product of a higher value to your customers. So let's say they've been looking at medium size and small size. So you want to push them to buy actually the full size or the larger size. So you offer them like a discount if they went ahead and buy that. Or if you know that they're interested in this type of nutrition, there's actually other products that might be more suitable for them that's not necessarily matching their search term, but that's basically it's more interesting products that they can actually use. So that's what we call upselling. Cross-selling is when you want to sell them actually the complementary products, related products to this. And an example on that would be I'm buying, let's say, protein bars and protein powder, then you give them the shaker, right? And we all know that for many of us as customers, we tend to go with these complementary products because when you start this product, then you're gonna look next. Okay, if I buy this, then maybe I need this and this and that. And it's not necessarily always other customers. Like when you look at recommendation that comes from other customers, that's something that necessarily can be provided on reviews. But as a website, you can help your customers do that by increasing your cross-selling activities. All right, so by far, so we covered the part of the unknown customers, and now let's take a look on those we actually know. So if you know this is a customer, whether you track their information, you know who are they based on XTB or their logging, and you can track their profile information. And if they did the purchase of like a nutrition bar 2 days ago, you don't want them to target them with the follow-ups, whether it's an emails or personalization, completely on that specific protein bar they just bought, right? You want to show them that you can anticipate, and you show them that this is the next product that you might be interested, and you need to show them that you are one step ahead because you understand their need, and you can provide them with a more relevant experience than that they are expecting. And same thing, if they bought this protein bar 2 weeks ago, you don't want to keep showing them the same similar products after a month. You want to introduce them into something new, so you increase your cross-selling base. All right, so this is when we start to look into personalization based on the profiles, we can utilize actually the customer profile from the commerce, from the Sitecore commerce. So this is the dashboard, and if you click on the customers uh, action, then you're gonna be shown the customer uh, all the details about your customers. I'm just taking screenshots from the Habitat Shop for this scenario, but you're gonna be prompted with um, to select which shops you're interested to look into your customers, and you can select whatever customer profile you have, and you're gonna see the different information that you already stored about this customer. So you see their entitlement, the different digital products that they've already bought, and you start to learn more and more about your customer. You get their shopping addresses, and you can utilize that later on in their shopping cart personalization. A nice thing to look at is the included tags and the profile. So this is mainly used for segmentation. It helps you to tag your customers with specific tags that you know that these customers are interested in, and then you can build your segmented list based on these tags. You can track their like interaction with the website through the experience analytics. It opens actually a whole load of different tactics to utilize whenever you're actually doing the tags. All right, so by far this is, so we're talking about Sitecore, right? And when we talk Sitecore, we talk both content and commerce. So this part mainly focused on how to utilize the marketing techniques for content targeting. And now let's see another aspect of that, how we can utilize the business tools in Sitecore, for example, to do promotions. So another thing when we think about related products is if you actually get if the customer came in and they shared their location, right? And you have a shop nearby. So you can show them that there is a physical store that we own, like let's say 10 minutes walk from where you are at now, that you can go actually and pick up your products, or you can look for whatever you've been searching here and then see the actual product in store. And that's a huge benefit of using related products based on location. For the promotion, but let's have these two scenarios. We want to look at how to personalize your shopping cart through the promotion manager, and the other one, how we implement rule-based, or what we call it, in-page personalization. So for the sake of this, we want to create a customer bought like around $15 worth of a cart. You want to give them a discount with 10%. And if they actually spent more than $100, you want to give them a free shipment because they've been generous enough to pay that money. So, nice thing again about I'm not gonna say the customer experience, our experience interacting with this new commerces is it's the same experience. It's very intuitive for you to go through this entire thing, even without looking about it online. You don't have to read the documentation to know if I'm going to check on promotion. I'm going to click the promotion manager, and that's going to prompt me with something similar. I'm going to see with the price module or with the catalog module. It says a promotion box. So you're going to create a promotion box specific for your shop, and then you're going to start to add the different promotion based on your business goals, right? So we're gonna click on adding a promotion, and basically it's going to give you the option to add all the different information that's going to be shown for your customer when they check their cart. You give it a validity. We want to run this campaign for a month, and always make sure that you are connecting this with the actual campaign that you are pulling across the website. And always revisit that. A nice thing about it is like the A/B testing. And why it's important, because sometimes if I'm going to give them a 10% off for a smaller amount of this, that might not generate much actually selling activities as you would expect. So it's really important to always check whatever you've gaining of insights through the different campaigns and personalization that you're doing on the website, and whenever you're creating these different promotions. So you provide the display card text, whatever information you wanted to be shown to the customer. And if you're familiar with Sitecore rule-based personalization, it's actually gives you always the option to create a rule, specify a condition, and subsequently what's the action that's going to happen. So this is like actually it's the same experience that you should expect from Sitecore. So once you add that, you're gonna add a condition, and for our case, we want the cart item subtotal to compare to a specific value. You want it to be equal or more of $50 amount, right? Then you're gonna define which catalog you're going to apply this promotion to, and if you want to apply this whether for the entire catalog items or for specific items. Let's say if we're interested in just gluten-free Britain, whatever products you have, then you specifically select that I want those items to be targeted with this promotion. So now we have our condition. We have our what we call it operator, which is like the values equal or more, and we have different options to select with. Then we're gonna see the action, and the action that we're looking for is the 10% off of the total shopping cart. The other option is to get a free shipping. So these are predefined that comes out of the box with the with the promotion manager. And this nice thing about it is, since everything is built on microservices and it's easy to extend, you can extend this to whatever business need you're having. And obviously, after you finish some sort of a workflow, you're gonna request approval, you're gonna approve it, and be ready to have your promotions displayed and the shopping cart for customers whenever the amount of products value and the shopping cart are matching the criteria that you just defined. Another aspect as well is they've added the rules to the rule-based engine to look into the shopping cart, and that helps you even with if the shopping cart is empty or if they're manipulating, there's an addition and removal of products on the customer shopping cart. You can also provide them with personalized content that's tied to these rules. So as a quick recap of this part of the presentation is, when it comes to customers, you always need to know your audience in order to give them this connected, relevant, and optimized experience across all the different channels you have. You need to know them and then to target them with what actually is relevant through the different stages. Again, there's a different ways of implementing all of this. This is just an example of how you can do that, but this is a starter. Um, this is a start to implement personalization in the commerce context. The other thing is the shopping cart abandonment. And basically, again, this is an universal issue that's not related to a type of industry or even a technology. More than 65% of shoppers just leave for different reasons. And it's really important to identify why we are actually closing the browser or not going through the shopping process. There's definitely a reason why 65% of customers are doing that. And by identifying these different reasons, you can always employ the right strategy to tackle that. So they say that more than 40% is because they have inconvenient return policy. So if they buy a product online and there's nothing that guarantee if they get it broken or damaged, or if you don't actually like it, after you paid this amount of shipping and you want to go through the hassle of returning the item and get it back, that leaves 40% of customers, they don't want to proceed with it. Or they have high shipping charges, or there's an extra amount of money in the cart that you haven't seen it when you added those products to the cart. And again, this brings you to the fact that if you know your customers, if you know your business like really well, you can tackle some of these simply by giving them the option. If you can detect their location, if they have provided their address, and you know there's a store nearby, then you can tweak your checkout process to have a pickup in a store, because you're going to show them that they have a 10 minutes workshop nearby that they can go for it. So now there's zero shipping cost. There is a better return policy because you're going to go and pick your products from the shop. You're going to see it, make sure that it's status, so you can sorry, you can tackle these challenges just by knowing your business and knowing your customer, and just actually do the math. Um, Other strategies, basically, the first thing that always comes to mind is to send them emails with a link to your shopping cart. And that can happen through different ways. And nice thing about Sitecore with the introduction of the marketing automation enhancement on the AXM is that now it's very easy to use. Again, it's very intuitive. It's a matter of drag and drop, and you can build any campaign and any engagement plan you have in mind just by drag and drop. And that can, the nice thing about it is, again, um, you've continuously checking these different campaigns, right? You're checking the experience analytics and getting more insights based on customer segments, based on tags, on different categorization you have on the website, and you continuously are updating these plans, so you're not stuck with one plan and then just continuously do it. And because it's easy, it gives you the opportunity uh, to continuously do the update with no overhead or any backend uh, like activities to do that. Another thing that's nice about Sitecore is the path analyzer. And actually, if you're whether if you're implementing a multi-step on different pages, checkout process or whatever, the path analyzer can give you exactly at what stage of their checkout process or their engagement they are dropping off. When did they actually abandon um, the checkout page and that just closed the browser? Is it because you've brought them with a login at that point and now they are not to do that? Or maybe they've gone through step 1 and step 2 and suddenly you've actually shown them a promotion, a CTA with a link they can click on that redirects them to something else. So sometimes you might over personalize, you might over promote and recommend your customers, and that might end up you losing customers. So it's really important to identify at which stage you are there's that disconnect is happening. Marketing automation, as I mentioned, by far I think most of us knows what marketing automations. And the nice thing about it is that can be targeted for like specific contacts, right? You feel unique for every single interaction you have, and that could be different from other customers for the marketing automation. And again, this is not only to be employed for the abandoned car situation. This can start from the first step of the acquisition and end with the win back, and you can create whatever marketing automation you have in mind. So for your loyal customers, you can send them on their anniversary um, a campaign. Once they hit a mark, you identify for these customers, right? So the word for marketing activities that's created by the marketing automation actually are limitless. And the XM, and I know like for like most of us don't have this like really nice experience with it from previous versions, but I think with the latest version they did a great job enhancing that. Also, like Pete Navarre is doing really good job showing the different capabilities in Sitecore 9. And if any of you guys are attending the symposium, there's lots and lots of interesting talks around that, around creating loyalty programs, around promotions and how to interact with commerce in different ways. So let me just proceed more into into the marketing automation plan for abandoned cart. And Sitecore out of the box, whenever you install the SXA storefront, it provides you with this plan already defined. It's an easy one, straightforward. You can add as many different conditions and actions as you want through that, but you have to define one per shop. By default, they have a condition to see if the cart is empty. If it's empty, then there is nothing you should be doing. Um, if yes, they're gonna check if the contact that you are working with is actually have an address. Did they provide you with their information when they did the login? If yes, then you can proceed to send them an email based on uh, a campaign that you've already created. If not, then you are you have to leave. And again, whenever you're going to trigger the automation plan for the shopping cart, is dependent on the business, and you have to be careful on when to define it. So some people gonna start to activate the automation plan for customers once they log in into your website, and some of them once they actually start to add products to the shopping cart, or if they're idle on the website for a certain amount of time. So it's really important because sometimes the capabilities of these marketing automation plans in terms of triggering and when you are going to enroll the contact in the XDB through the XConnect is actually limited. So that's something you need to keep in mind when defining that. Another thing, again, is if you want this to be let's say something that's triggered why this is happening, why they are in context on during the shopping and they're looking into their cart. And for some reasons, the only solution is to mark that as a live event, because of the GDPR consideration. If the contact actually choose to opt out of any tracking, or they want to gain their privacy, but at the same time you want to make sure that you can trigger part of your marketing automation while they're still in session. You don't have the luxury because you don't have their information to trigger it later on after they leave your website. But we always need to keep in mind live events, like any other real-time implementation that's performance exhausting for your website. You need to be careful when to to mark any of these events in your campaign with being alive or not. And I think by now most of us also know how marketing campaigns are created. The dashboard, again, anything with analytics can give you a really good insight about how the different customers and are interacting with the email campaigns that you're sending. So if, like, let's say 90% of the follow-up emails you're sending for those with abandoned cart has been not in the state of not being opened, then there's something wrong with these emails, or maybe they're going to the spam. Maybe you have to employ a different strategy to do that. So it's always look at the dashboard and learn, and again test with different scenarios until you find the proper campaign for your customer. Another nice thing I like about it is, and specifically in Sitecore 9, was the introduction of segmented lists in the list manager that can be used um, in the email campaign, or actually even in the automation plan. You might opt out into sending them email campaigns right away once you identify that these have left your website and they still have products and they spent like 2 to 3 hours with no response. You can send them right away, or you can add them to a list. Let's say I'm going to call it abandoned cart list, and later on you can target them with these follow-up campaigns. Maybe next time they come to your website and you've already marked them as uh, those who live with abandoned cart, you can try a different kind of personalization, whether it's in page or the recommendation that's gonna be more appealing for them, create more and more trust with your brand, that gonna turn and convert everything and every click in your website into an actual uh, shopping experience that's of a benefit for both of you and for your customer. Um, Again, there's different type of segmentation that's not only based on the audience and interaction. You can do that if this is identified as a first purchase based on device or gender. If you identify that, because different people have different tastes, and you can build different campaigns based on this information. Same thing with the age and level. So don't limit yourself for whatever Sitecore is providing, out of the box or not. Always learn from your customer interaction with your website. And a final note on this is, typically we don't do tech for the sake of tech, right? We're doing it to provide customers with more proper and optimized customer experience. So thank you guys for being with me today. I hope that you learned something or two out of this session, and let me know if you have any questions. And thank you, user group Brazil, for having me, and to entertain yourself with talking about marketing and non-technical related stuff at this time. Rodrigo, over to you.
I'm sorry, I was on mute here. Thank you, Ishraq. That was an amazing presentation. Everybody in the chat window here is really praising you for that amazing content. I got a couple questions here. I would like to give you. The first one is from Amitabh. He's saying, again, excellent content from you. He's wondering if out of the box, do we have any option to personalize a Sitecore form render using form wrapper in SXA? So in SXA, using form wrapper, do we have an out of the box way to personalize that form?
Um, I actually don't have an answer for that. I've worked with the SSA storefront provided out of the box, but like didn't work that deep on personalizing the form actually itself. So something to look at for sure.
Good, good. Yes, I do have one question myself. Rest of the audience, please let me know if you have any other question and drop in the chat window. For the meantime, I will do my question. I'm sorry if it's basic or stupid or out of your scope, but I'm thinking here, since you have the omni-channel word in the top in your title, how is the, how do we execute the linking between the online experience and the offline experience? We know that during an online experience, you identify a contact and things like that. But how does that works in a offline, in the real world?
So basically, and thank you for this question. Maybe the focus was based on the scenario I presented was to move it from the offline into the online. But actually, what happens is that when you have your store, you build your catalog, interactive catalogs for your customers. You have their tablets um, across your shop that is linked to your website. So let's say, and using the recent technology such as beacon technology, and if you have a basic Wi-Fi set up on your website, and the moment the customer walks into your shop, um, you can trigger them with a push notification to their mobile app saying that welcome to the store. If you are interested to gain more information about the products we are giving, this is the link to our website. So this is where you start to and you when you give them that link again, it's similar to the offline campaign that we've created. You already defined everything in terms of logistics and campaigns in Sitecore, and you provide, let's say, the in-store page as part of the link that you are giving them. So once your customer is clicking that, then you know for sure that this is a customer that's coming through the push notification of an SMS I've just sent them when they walked into the website. Another thing is through loyalty cards. So let's say if for some reason they don't have the loyalty card with them and they want to have a discount once they pay for this, um, using their email information, once you log that into your point of sale and it's through the commerce connect your during the integration with these different third-party system, you are actually updating the same catalog and the same information and the same profile that you already have on Sitecore. Another approach would be, as I mentioned at the beginning, some sort of when you print the receipt, you give them a discount, and you already track that uh, discounts of this kind of type that's coming from the offline channel. So there's different tactics and things that you can employ just to make that link from the web from like the offline from the actual store back to your website. Hope that answers some of the stuff that you can actually use to do that.
All right, good, good. I would like to take advantage of my own question to announce that Niche Tech is going to execute a demo in the next symposium when we are using face recognition to recognize a contact and do the link with the offline and online world by reading their faces. This is one approach we're testing. Um, Jamican, that was a small joke, I guess. Everyone come to create loyalty program with commerce talk at symposium. Right.
Yeah, that's a talk I'm personally definitely going to attend.
Yeah, today I made a small joke with Jamie. We will be in the symposium. He will be presenting. He of course will be there. Okay, thank you, Ishraq. Anyone else has any question? Let me know in the drop in the chat window. Mm,
All right, thank you guys.
okay, otherwise, yeah, we're good, I guess. Thank you, Ishraq.